Okay, let's talk about the Supernote Manta after 1 month. I really want to highlight and focus the discussion on this video having to do with the size comparison with my A6X. This isn't the most recent A6 size. They have the Nomad, but this is the one that I originally bought. But I really just want to spend some time talking about the size difference because I know a lot of people are probably trying to figure out what it is. And I think by 1 week, I pretty much knew where each device fell, but I thought that would be a very interesting discussion after 1 month. Now, in terms of use cases, I use this primarily to write scripts, to take down notes, things like that. I'm not doing drawing, I'm not editing PDFs or reading ebooks. I'm just using this device to write because it's for those who write. I haven't modded this in any way or side-loaded anything. I just use it stock as is, and the templates that I do use are the ones that are included. Now, in terms of the device itself, it is absolutely wonderful. It does what it says it does, and that's all you want in a device like this, especially at the price point that this device happens to be. I've already talked about how this Lamy pen is my absolute favorite because it feels plastic and light, just like every other pen I've used for most of my life. Now, initially, I really wanted to use wide-ruled, but it was too big on the Manta device. It works really well on this device, not so great on this device, especially when you transfer them back and forth. So I've actually switched to using this one. I don't know what it's called. It's like 4 lines and then spaces and 4 lines. I've actually enjoyed using this because I found that usually when I'm writing down lists or ideas or just taking notes, I need about 4 lines and then I want to break and then write something else. So it already breaks it down for me. It's also very thin. I like thinner size lines for me to write. And so this has been my pretty much go-to template at this point. Now, I don't want to spend too much time praising it, nor do I want me talking about the challenges to feel like the device is not very good. I think this Manta device is awesome, but some of the things that I've noticed, that other people may find interesting, I found actually that the issues are more to do with the syncing. Now, most people may not have this problem because you're only going to have one device, but I got 2 devices here, and that's really where a lot of the challenges for me have come from. It's like trying to figure out these 2 working devices. I know it seems like a wonderful, problem to have, right? I mean, you got 2 devices and it's like almost an abundance of riches, but that's where most of the problems or challenges for me have really come from. When it comes to working with these 2 devices, I've sort of figured out how to overcome the whole transferring of things and it makes it huge when you transfer it from the small one to the big one. So you got to transfer from the big one to the small one, and then everything is all fine. But I actually found like there's conflict files when I am syncing in between. So I'm syncing files from this one, I work on this one, and then later on I want to work on this one, and maybe that has more to do with the cloud. But I noticed that there are conflict files that appear, and it's confusing because I don't know which one to work off of, and do I work off of the non-conflict file or the conflict file, and which file is what? And I know that they're timestamped, so I know what is the most recent, but I never had that issue before, but it's just been something that's been happening more and more. I don't know if that's something, again, that's a cloud issue. I don't think it's a device, like a hardware issue, but it's something that I've noticed that I'm like, wait, I'm writing something, especially for those documents that I lock up. The conflict files, they don't appear to be locked. So it just kind of like opens up that locked file and kind of defeats the whole purpose. So that's something that I noticed recently with this device. I'm sure it's a quick fix, probably something I've overlooked. I probably got to troubleshoot it or something. But yeah, most of the problems I've had a month in have more so to do with just handling these 2 devices. But I really want to spend more time talking about the size differences between these 2 because I've talked about this like pretty much every single video I've made about the Manta, and it seems kind of unfair that discussion for me is probably the biggest deal when you talk about these devices, and so that's why I want to more so focus it on this 1 month later video and just really talk about the size, because I know a lot of people will be thinking about which one to get, and because these devices you can't really see them in person, and also returning them may be a challenge. So if you buy the wrong size device, you may be regretting it. And so I really just want to, again, just be transparent in what I feel about these two devices. Having used them, I used this for 2 to 3 years and used this about a month or so. But overall, I think the experience are about the same. But let's talk about size. I know that this is the newest one, this is the sleekest one, and I think it's great. However, I still will continue to stand by what I said about the A6 size. You know, I think that for more people, it's the one that will be better. Again, this depends on what you're doing. So first, let's kind of just start with how I write. It may be different for other people, but I'm just gonna share where I'm coming from. When I'm writing things, this is how I hold it, and I'm writing like this. I don't have the luxury of a writing desk or a desk to write on, so I'm writing on the couch. I'm writing as I'm sitting down, like, you know, jotting notes and doing things like that. This is how I write with this device, and how I would write with any journal. And so while it does fit in my hand, you know, this is how I hold it. Over a long period of time, 30, 40 minutes, I cannot be holding it like this. It's just too hard. So for me and my purposes, that's why I've preferred the smaller one, because it's more manageable in size. Now, if you are going to be doing PDFs or you're going to be taking notes where you can sit down longer, absolutely, this might be the one for you. But I guess I just don't want people to buy this one and then they are going to use it because it's new and fun, and then after a month they realize, oh, this thing is too big for me. Like, it's nice, but I don't really want to carry a notebook size, you know, folder paper size digital notebook. It's too big. I don't want to carry it with me. And when you don't use it, then it's kind of like, what was the point? And so that's why when it comes to the size, if you're the type of person like me who will be primarily writing on the go, you know, you can just stick this in. You know, I carry a bag, easily fit this in my bag. It's thin, it's light, very easy, and I just feel like the size wise, this is the one for most people. When I first got this, I thought, oh, it was way too small. Like, I was like, oh no, it's way too small. You know, like I wanted that bigger size. But as I used it more and more, actually the size became not something that was seen as more of a negative. It was actually a plus, because it adds mobility. And mobility in my lifestyle, what I do, is way more important, because I'm on the go and I want to write on the go. And so thinking about this a month later, again, if I had to pick between these two, while this size is nice, and if I have the time and the ability to be more stationary, sure, I'll take this one. But for pure writing, this is the one for me. And maybe you have to turn more pages as you write, because you know, it is a little bit smaller. So you gotta write, and then you gotta flip a page when you write. To me, that's fine. It's not that big a deal. It's not like I'm wasting paper because it's all digital. And again, this isn't a comparison between the A6X and the Manta, because this one is upgraded so much more. It's more just a focus on the size, the A6 size versus the A5 size. But if I had to pick one to write, it would be this size. And I know this is the older version. I would really love to get a Nomad. I think that would be awesome, because you know, it's light. I like the clear one, looks pretty cool. But the size of this means I write more, and that's sort of the whole point. And this applies to other things, other pieces of technology, and other things that we consume as well, right? If you buy something because it's so cool, but you realize it's not very practical, then what's the point? Like, for example, I remember when we were trying to figure out what stroller we were going to use for our sons. And you know, so many parents are going to get like the biggest one, right? Whoa, it looks so impressive. It's very expensive. But then you realize that it's such a hassle. It's so humbug to bring that thing around, to walk through the crowds. And so for us, what we did was we got a somewhat more travel stroller. So we could actually fold it up and I could sling it over my arm if we needed to. So if there's like an escalator issue or the elevator is taking too long, we could take the stairs. I could just sling it up over my shoulder. Now, granted, there are compromises with that, but it's far better than having to lug around the huge thing. And this, of course, applies to all different kinds of stuff. But I'm just saying, like, when it comes to like these two tablets size-wise, I really be thinking about, where are you going to be using this? How long are you going to be writing? What are you going to be doing? If you're going to be viewing, big stuff, PDFs, then sure. But if you're just going to use it to basically replace a notebook, like a paper notebook, scratch paper, you're going to be jotting notes, you'll be on the go, then I think the A6 size is the best for that. And over the past month, I've given these two devices a real go, especially this one, because I really wanted to see the limitations, not of the device, because it's great, but more like the limitations of my writing habits because of what it is, the size, really. And, I've been busy, so I've had less time to write. But knowing that I had to bring this larger tablet, I'm just less likely to bring it with me where I have to go. And so I ended up writing more. And to tie into the challenges that I found, maybe that's the reason why I'm having these conflict files appear up between these two devices, because I've been writing more with this. If I was writing exclusively with this, maybe there wouldn't be any issues. But because the size of this is intriguingly good, I guess, I don't know if that's right. Yeah. It is still useful to me. I can't get rid of this device. I don't want to get rid of this size. And so that leaves this device in a very tough position, because it's new, it's nice, it's sleek. I love the double sidebars, wonderful. But am I willing to grab this one out the door when I'm in a rush? Can I take this to the coffee shop? Am I more likely to take this big one or a small one? And so that's where the challenges are. Now I'm going to continue to use it, of course, and I'll report back whenever I make another video, I guess. But it's just something I want people to hear, because I know the hype of a new product is very strong. The marketing, everyone's so excited. But what you don't hear are all the people who are like, yeah, I bought this device, I was so excited about it, but I don't use it no more. And I just don't want people to be like that as much as possible, because these devices are too good for that. They're too good to be sitting around in a drawer, to be in the box, right? Like this is too good for that. And so I really want people to just hear from someone who's been using these devices and is using it for its purpose, for my purpose, writing, and to just share my experience. Now maybe you'll be different and you'll find a place for the larger one, and that's wonderful if you can. But I'm just saying, as 1 month in of using this one as well as this one, but using this one, there's not much to compel me to use the Manta any more than this, if that means anything to anyone. So yeah, it's wonderful, it's great, but just be very careful that you know what you'll be using it for, how you're going to be writing, before you make that purchase, because I would hate to see these sitting around 3 to 6 months later in people's drawers, because this is too good for that, I think. So hopefully this video is helpful. I'll make another video, I don't know, a month or two from now, as I keep trying out these things. But yeah, I'm gonna start to write a little bit more. Like I said, I was really busy, but get back to daily writing and see how these can work together, because that's really where a lot of this conflict is coming from, which I don't know how to get over that. I guess we'll see. So thanks for watching.